Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that I'm not a fan of watching people fight. Having said that, I understand through introspection that that might be part of human nature, which would explain why we have so many TikTok and what's the other one, YouTube videos of people pummeling each other. But it kind of appeals to our dark side, if you think about it. Having said all of that, I'm about to contradict myself. And you might be even calling me a hypocrite, guilty as charged, because I saw Enter the Dragon, not when it came out first, because it was R-rated and I wasn't old enough to see it in the theaters, but I did see it eventually. But when I saw Bruce Lee do some things in that movie, I'm not sure how many of you have seen the movie Enter the Dragon. I became obsessed. There is this particular scene with him twirling a nunchuck and doing some things with it. I immediately went out and made myself a set of nunchucks. And I thought I was twirling it the way Bruce Lee was twirling it. Of course, I was more doing harm to myself. I did knock myself out a couple of times with that thing. Because of that obsession, I went to my parents and I said, I really need to get into karate. I just have to. Mother was hesitant, but when your kids come to you and they have this passion about something, you kind of want to support it. Sign me up at the YMCA. Now, they went on and got me a gi. And let me just give you a few words in the lexicon of karate. You were talking Japanese to us 2 weeks ago. Gi is the word for the thing that you wear in what's called a dojo. The dojo is the room in which the classes take place. The sensei is the instructor who goes through the routine and tells you what to do. Katas, and I was good at that as well, was the one-man fighting routine. So you had to go through the various punches and the blocks and that kind of thing on your own. It was part of the training. But you also had kumite, which was where you were allowed to fight with somebody else with certain restrictions. There were rules. For kicking, you could kick anywhere from the belt up. So you could kick the body, you could kick towards the head. For punches, you could punch anywhere in the body. So there were rules. You couldn't just punch anywhere. The sensei actually thought I was pretty good, to the extent where he'd put me in the front of the class and there'd be a lineup of students and they'd be coming up to me and throwing a punch or a kick, and I had to do the defense to make sure that I didn't get hit. So I was actually doing pretty well. I'm quite pleased with myself. And at school, I was getting a bit of a reputation. I was Karate Cammy. Cammy is my last name. They call me Cammy. And people would come up to me and I'd immediately go into a pose to sort of give them that impression of being a threatening person. That was great. But then I thought I really needed more to prove myself to my colleagues. And the opportunity came up when a friend of mine, we were good friends, Garfield Kramer, he had a little bit of a dispute one day. Neither of us remembers what this dispute was about. But we agreed that we were going to settle this not in a spontaneous fight. We're not going to do this right in front of everybody right here. That's not good enough. We're going to have to get a little bit of an audience for this. So we agreed on the spot that we're going to take this up after school. We're going to go to, there was a little field next door to the school. We're going to go over there and that's where we're going to settle this, like gentlemen. So we, at the end of the day, when we'd spread the word that there was going to be this big fight, we had an entourage of people follow us over to the field, watch the big fight. Remember, there were rules about how we fought in the dojo. Garfield Kramer didn't know those rules. Garfield Kramer knew the rules of street fighting. I don't think I need to tell you how that fight ended up. I think you can probably draw your own conclusions on that one. But the other thing that happened is that a few days after that fight, my other friend, Richard Boyd, said to me, you know, Bruce Lee's dead, right? I looked at him in horror. Not only was Bruce Lee dead, but he'd been dead for a couple of years by this point. This wasn't something that happened recently. So can you imagine my disillusionment at this point? Not only have I just had my butt kicked when I thought I was about to give a great karate demonstration, but no, my hero has been dead for a couple of years. So at this point, it didn't seem like karate was the thing for me anymore. I'd lost interest. And I went to my mother and I said, you know what? I'm going to hang up my gi. She was disappointed because I'd heard how well I was doing in the class. And the moral of the story, I still watch Bruce Lee movies, by the way. And yes, I still have this thing about not liking fighting and so on. But Bruce Lee's in a class by himself. Let's just be honest about it. So the moral of the story is you can have a big fascination with something, and then a little pin pricks your balloon and it just gets deflated. That's the way life is. Thank you very much.